Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for some more of Chelsea therapy session. Let me know, by the way, if my connection is fine, because for some reason StreamYard is telling me my connection is bad, which it shouldn't be, because I'm literally plugged into the Ethernet cable. But any which way, we drew again. We dropped some more points. We still cannot score. And at this point, I have to assume we are actually cursed. Like, how is it even possible? Like, we didn't play well, and we'll get to that. But how we cannot score from all of these moments and all of those situations and all of those chances, I cannot understand. I cannot understand how this is possible, how this happens. Oh my God, it just keeps on happening. And I'm honestly at a point where I'm like, is Poch even better than Potter? Like, I know this is a crazy thing to say, but we spent £1 billion, have a squad that's not even half as good as the squad we had before. At some point, this has to become a reality. Yes, they may be great in 5 years. They're sure as hell not great right now. And I'm like asking myself, will it ever get better? Now, like you do different things. The manager makes the most random subs, plays Enzo Fernandez as a 10, even though everybody knows you shouldn't. Plays Levi Colwill as a left back. Okay, he didn't play Chilwell as a winger today. Fantastic. Played Mudryk. Who's the first guy he takes off? Mudryk. Like this, these players are never going to develop. Obviously, he's going to say, oh, he wasn't fit to play more. Well, how many chances do we have after? Palmer was good. Bring Palmer on. But how about for Gallagher? How about you attack against Bournemouth? The only good player we had was flipping Robert Sanchez. Fair play to him. He did well. But otherwise, my God, it was a whole clown show again. And I can't handle it anymore. Like, I'm so bored of it. I'm so bored. Like, I bring up a tweet of mine that I put out during the game. Like, kind of ignore the first part because I was just in my thoughts, right? We just finished 12th last season. We changed the entire squad in the space of that 12 months. We changed the coaching staff 3 times. Well, twice. From Tuchel to Potter. From Potter to, it is even 3 times. To Lampard and his people. And now to Pochettino. And now it still feels like I'm watching end of the season of Tuchel's last season. Well, the end of his last full season. It still feels the same. We create chances, don't take them. Overall, yeah, we control games, but we're not really good. But at least Tuchel had excuses for all of this. Now, Poch has some excuses as well, in terms of, a lot of injuries and new squad and stuff like that. But Tuchel had sanctions and all sorts of madness going on. A better squad as well, I should add. But like, how is it even possible to change this much and the same thing be the case? Like, people said, oh, what a surprise, things take time. That would be fine. But the problem is, it's exactly the same thing. At least it feels like the exact same thing to me as what I experienced 15 months ago. Oh, my days. It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me. Joe, I'll start with you. Thank you for coming back on. I appreciate it. It's been a while. We've tried to make this happen a few times, but we've just not had the time. But, mate, where do you sit on this? Yeah, sure, we can sit here now and say, oh, we were unlucky because that Sterling free kick and then the Colwill rebound and, all sorts of chances. But at the end of the day, we can only look at ourselves. First of all, Bournemouth could have scored plenty of goals if they were.
Yeah, Sanchez saved us, definitely.
Exactly. And, I mean, even under Lampard last season, we won here.
Yeah, the thing is with this, with today is, every time I go into it, I seem to think to myself, this is going to be the one where we're going to see something, and once again it just seems to fall flat on its face. I honestly don't really know what's happened, because it seems we started against, say, Liverpool, where there was definitely signs, and then you could see in those games that we either Liverpool we drew, we beat Luton, and then obviously we had the 2 defeats, but you could still see little glimmers. But in the last 2 specifically against Forest and today, there wasn't even the glimmers of what could be. It was flat, I thought. Mudryk, in my opinion, I feel the reason why he was taken off was because of that yellow card, and he was losing the ball, and I think he was getting a little bit frustrated, and I think that there was a possibility. I did put on my Twitter that I think there was a chance of a second yellow card. So I like to think Poch read the game there and thought, I got to take him off, or we're going to go down to 10 men. That's maybe what I think happened there. But he had a fast start, Mudryk, and then he just seemed to teeter off, and then, like I said, got frustrated. But overall, I honestly don't know what is happening. I think we can't move away, and it can sound like excuses, but 12 players are injured. But then the counter to that is 8 of them have pretty much started all games this season, so it is confusing. I went into this season knowing that it was going to be a patient game. I think we can all agree that, with the players and the way that the club have gone, it's going to be a patient game. But there's being patient, and then there's just being crap. And, you know, for portions of these games, we have just been crap or we have panicked. So for me, you know, I don't really know where this is going to go. Obviously, we've got no Champions League football now, so obviously you'll have more time to work with the full squad. But as it stands now, you know, we are way off. What's that, 10 points behind City already? I know you shouldn't be looking at, say, City, but top four, I think it's 8 or 9. And after 1 or 2, I have said, you know, after 1 or 2, you can't be counting points, but 5. And then you look at what we got coming up, because that run, I think it's end of October onwards, is crazy difficult. You know, it is worrying. It is definitely worrying, and that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, mate, it's so worrying. I hope my connection is a bit better now. I might have been frozen.
Yeah,
for
it definitely
second.
looks it, mate.
Very good, thank you. Yeah, I mean, Pice, I'll come to you. It's kind of the same question. I mean, bloody Euro expert. I love you, Alex, but also fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Like Chelsea are 2010's Arsenal. Mate, we are not half as good as 2010's Arsenal. Let's be honest here. Like, look at the flipping goals them lot scored. We couldn't hit a fucking open barn door. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. 2010's Arsenal he's talking about. When did Arsenal ever finish 12th? Do you know what I mean? Absolute piss take.
14th if we stand, mate. I don't want to be horrible, like.
Oh, my days. Pice, where do we even start? Where do we even start? I mean, do we start on Poch? Do we start on these players? Do we just have to sit here and say, okay, anything that happens until, I don't know, November, Christmas, doesn't matter, doesn't count because too much of a rebuild. But we all asked for the rebuild. So it's kind of like we all said we need a massive clear out. So it's kind of like we shouldn't be this shocked, but also we should be. I genuinely don't know what to feel because, yeah, there are some explanations that explain some of what's happening, but not to the same extent. But at the same time, where do you go? Like, it just doesn't seem to get better. I know it's only 5 games, but it's still 5 games. Like, 5 games is not nothing. And there was, other than the one Wimbledon game, there was no games in between. Okay, there was an international break now. But also, to top it off, by the way, we have even more injuries. Mudryk is injured again. No idea what's happened to Cucurella. I think he's injured again because, you know, or other personal issues that meant him to be left out of the squad. Because look at some of the people that were on the bench today. Cucurella was not just left at home today. I absolutely guarantee it. It's a joke. We have 12 players unavailable. People were talking about a clear out, mate. We don't need a clear out. We need an extra hospital wing. Like, that's what we need. I can't hack it. Honestly, Pice, please tell me something that I can clutch onto because at the moment I'm just losing any bit of patience that I have in me.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say myself, to be honest. You know, like some games I watch, I think, you know, like Poch is clueless, you know, this and that. I don't think we played great today, but then games like today, I'm like, well, Nagelsmann, Enrique, De Zerbi, even Pep Guardiola couldn't make these guys score. Like, I'm genuinely convinced. Like, some of the chances we had, the conviction is just terrible. There's a good tweet by Liam Toomey. He said that, you know, the one where Cole Palmer played Sterling wide for Man City, just cuts in and shoots. You know, no one shoots in our team. You know, when Jackson did in the first half, he hit the post. That's probably about the closest we came, to be fair. But
Sterling free kick was definitely the closest.
Yeah, that was very.
Yeah. Offside goal as well. I mean, what do you say to that? I think some of the subs were, you know, a bit sort of like West Ham, where you just sort of, you know, oh, look, I've just got on the bench. I'll just throw everyone on and see what happens. Don't really think there was necessarily a game plan as such. I don't think he's going to let Mudryk build on, you know, what I thought was a promising performance in some aspects. I know he's going to have loose touches. I know he's going to lose the ball, but, you know, he could have had 2 assists today, definitely 1 assist. And obviously when he won that free kick and he just looked dangerous, but, you know, he's not going to let him build on that. I guarantee it will be something different next week. So there's certain areas of Poch where I'm just like, you know, like, get out, you're terrible. And then there's other aspects where I'm just like, well, what would any other manager actually do? Like, seriously, like, it's just, I don't know. The worrying thing is, the most worrying thing is that these 5 games, apart from Liverpool, have been like some of the easiest fixtures. Like, we'll get in October and November, we have literally got like Brighton, Man City, Man United, who always beat us, even though they're shit as well. I think we've got Arsenal. Like, we're fucked. Honestly, we're fucked. I can foresee a terrible period there. And then the fans are booing, at full time, 5 games in. We're not even played any big teams yet, apart from Liverpool. Like, we're honestly, I can see, where this is going already, and it doesn't end well. But
this is where it's going. This is where it's going.
It's like for me, like the blame has to go on the owners and the recruitment team, mostly because if we had like even just an option on the bench, like how many times in the past, right, where like we had when Hazard played for us in those games where Hazard was our best player, but maybe we were still drawing and he couldn't bail us out or whatever. Like we had like Giroud on the bench, like we had experienced players, we had like Remy back in the day, like proven goal scorers off the bench. We don't have any of this shit. I know players are injured, but we still don't have that in the squad. Our 2 strikers are Broja and Jackson, who are promising, but they lack conviction.
One of them ain't even fit.
It's like the squad planning. It's just been, and I wrote about this the other day. It's been so far one way that you now literally can't turn back because we've got so many of these fuckers in our team. It's like you have to persist with them now because you've gone so far one way. Like, I don't mind, honestly, like, not a full team of young players, but I don't mind some young players. I think that's generally the direction you have to go in now. You want to build something sustainable. You want to build something long-term. Proven players, if you put that in quotation marks, have also flopped at this club. But when you don't have any in the attack, like we literally have Sterling, and he's been shit, for since he's joined, pretty much, Mm-hmm. So it's like when you don't have any, especially at striker, it's like, what do you actually expect sometimes? I expect these games where we can't hit a barn door because these young players as well, you got to remember the pressure.
Washington was on the bench, actually.
It's just like that's our striker option on the bench. Some guy fucking from Brazil.
I'm bringing this up not to throw you under the bus, but to actually give you a chance to like properly respond to that, because obviously that was a thing on Twitter yesterday as well. Because and it pisses me off. Like, yes, one can preach patience a couple of weeks ago when we had 3 games where we played well in 2 of them, lost one a bit unluckily, won another one, and drew against Liverpool. That's a very different situation to losing against Forest at the Bridge and not being able to beat Bournemouth, where we even won under Lampard last season. You can't have a go at people for saying patience first. Patience has its limits. Like, yeah, patience is a long-term word, but when there's a certain level of bad that things can get where you don't just sit there and say patient, right?
I would say this is a game where I would use patience because we had so many chances, and it's like it's not necessarily on the manager. But at the end of the day, like, and I'm not saying Poch out because, like I literally said in this stream, if this guy had listened, it's like, does any other manager actually make these guys score? Like, it's like the manager can't go and kick the fucking ball in the goal himself. You know what I mean? But there is certain things. The problem is,
right? We said that exact same thing about Potter last October.
See, I don't know.
Because there we also had loads of chances every game, missed them, and then said, but the manager can't score. And the longer that went on, the less and less people, and you were one of the first, to be fair, Pies, but still, the longer it went on, more and more people were like, nah, Potter ain't it. But it still starts the same way. We dominated games, didn't take our chances, and then sometimes we made individual errors, like against Forest, and lost, and sometimes we drew 0-0. It was the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like we're going to get to a point, and it's going to be even faster because of the whole Spurs connection. Like he's going to go even faster now. The fact that our fans are going to go crazy, and it's just like
they're already going crazy.
Look at the team though. Like there's no like, there's just nothing. Like there's talent there, but there's no conviction in the attack. Like there just isn't, and there hasn't been since these guys have joined the club. It's as simple as that. The owners, it's like they just don't want to go to the other way. The proven players. We need a few in our squad. We need a few in our attack. So days like today, someone experienced can come and bail you out off the bench. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's so annoying. So there is a bit of like where I'm like, okay, be patient, because and the reason why I said that is because I'm thinking, surely if we're playing like this, we're dominating this much of the ball, we're creating this many chances, surely that tendency of big chances missed turns into eventually games that we actually do win. But
don't you feel like you're slightly ignoring how many chances Bournemouth also had? Yes, we had chances, but against any sort of decent team, we can also lose 3-0 here.
Yeah, no, we had way more than them, though, Laurenz. Like,
we did, but we have the tendency to not score. So if we play against teams that do score, we lose these games 3-0. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, Villa next week, that'll be prime
Mate,
example.
we're getting absolutely
We'll
battered.
get fucking trashed. Honestly,
Is that home or away? That's home, is it?
We've
got Villa at Stamford Bridge.
Lose that game, if we lose that game at home, which we probably will, that's going to be the start of
Yeah, there'd be a bit of a booing atmosphere there, definitely.
It's crazy. But I'm stuck in two minds because I'm like, okay, we've regressed since pre-season. We have even like stuff like our counter pressing and pressing is just it's so like flat. But then at times it's like, well, again, do you want him to put the ball in the back of the net himself? So I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm stuck in two minds.
Yeah,
but the thing is, it's a results-based business, and if you don't get those results, the manager is the one to blame. But the guys that should be the most blame is the fucking idiots who signed all these young players who are now like, this is the reason why we can't fucking score, because they're unproven and they don't. When that fucking moment comes, even the Palmer one back in the box, where he cut it back and he hit that and he saved it straight at the keeper. You think of a killer in front of the goal there, in the box, someone, you know what I mean? It's a goal every time. We've not got anyone like that in our squad. So what do you expect in some aspects?
Yeah, I mean, what do you?
I think at City, Palmer takes that before he passes it to Sterling. I think he thought a little bit more about that. I think if that was, say, him playing for Manchester City and he had that opportunity, he wouldn't even have made the first pass when it come back to him. He would have took that first initial shot on. I think, that was more of a panic, not like a panic, but like a thought where at City he didn't have it. And the amount of times he cuts in and you see him look up, and I think he got to think to himself like, where am I passing? Like at City, you've got your Haalands, you've got your De Bruyne's, and you can see the blokes there waiting for it. He must look at Chelsea and think, where are they? Who am I passing to here? It must be such a culture shock for him, in my opinion. I know he's only just come in, but a few times he's done it, and he just seems to slow the play right down. Where it looks like he's thinking, what do I do? Because he just don't know really who's there that he can count on to make that difference, to give him back the ball. And I think he does panic a little, and I think he is thinking that. And it is a massive drop for him, I think, in terms of who's there on the pitch of it at the moment.
Absolutely. And then how do you fix that? Let the kids start. No, of course he puts him on the bench because that's what makes sense. Like, it's just, and that's why I'm like, yeah, of course, Pice, you're right in saying Poch can't score himself. But Poch can be involved in the fact that for some reason, all of our big chances fall to Levi Colwill. That's one thing, like literally. And the others to Gallagher. Gallagher is a decent player. But the problem is also, I want Gallagher to stay, absolutely. But I want Gallagher to stay as a squad option. But because we have all the injuries in the world, Caicedo is now injured as well with a small knock. Let's hope he's fit for next week. Who the bloody hell knows? Obviously, Lavia is injured as well. And Nkunku is injured as well. Chukwuemeka is injured as well. So literally 5 players that could play instead of Gallagher are all injured. Obviously, he has the 2 chances. And then everybody's like, oh, without Nkunku, we can't do nothing. It's like, yes, you're right in terms of he can't score himself. But he doesn't help the team, in my opinion. Play a proper left back that allows width. Because there was moments in the game where after Mudryk was gone, there was nothing. I don't know what, like, Sterling did nothing off the left-hand side. I don't know how. Like, he was trying things and doing things off the right. As soon as he wasn't left, nothing. And then he even brought Chilwell on for Colwill, and then Chilwell decided to be striker, and no one was a left back anyway. Like, it's a joke. And then Enzo plays as the 10. Why is Enzo the 10? I cannot understand how any manager thinks of that. That Gallagher played as a 10 for 10 years of his life. I'm not saying he's a great 10. I'm not saying he should be there all the time. I'm not saying that. But he certainly should be there more than Enzo because we need Enzo to control the game and to actually unlock defenses. You can't put him in their deep block because what's he going to do from in the deep block? He's not going to be the guy that wins headers. He's not the best finisher in terms of like when he's, other than for actual shooting, but not like in and around, trying to wiggle his way through getting a finish off. That's not him. So if you're going to pay £105 million for a flipping player, use them how they're actually going to be good. Like Colwill, we were all hyped about him. We gave him this new massive contract. We were all gassed. And now we're playing him out of position every week. What's the point? It just infuriates me so much. Let's get the lineup up because some of us were quite happy in terms of that. At least we didn't have Chilwell at left wing. That was good. I also didn't think Mudryk was that bad. Like, could have had 2 assists. The first one, he should have probably kept on the floor to Gallagher. Then maybe Gallagher does score it. Bit difficult after he kind of hits it almost in his chest or stomach or whatever. And Gallagher kind of just has to somehow crumble up to get it on target and doesn't. The free kick you mentioned, Pice, obviously the other one for Gallagher, that has to be a goal. That was really good play from him as well. And Sterling, like, them two were the only dangerous players. Like, Jackson, other than his one shot, didn't do anything. Jackson was poor. Enzo didn't do anything. Gallagher, other than missed chances and setting one up for Sterling, didn't do anything. Mudryk was all right, but, I mean, you can't say we had control over the game, considering how many times Bournemouth hit us on the break without anybody stopping them. The whole Cole with a left-back situation is a big mess. Thiago Silva, I don't know, Thiago Silva looks like Thiago Silva when he was 12. Like, he looked so rushed. He looked so stressed when every time Bournemouth players were around him. Like, the time he nearly scored an own goal, essentially, by waiting so long to pass that the guy nearly blocked it into our own goal. Oh, my days. It's a mess. Dizazi making tackles all over the place as if we're flipping playing like street football. I don't understand what's happening. People will say it's a 4-2-3-1, but Gallagher certainly wasn't here. So it's like, is it a 4-3-3? Is it 4-3-1? Doesn't fucking matter. What it is it's not working. I can tell you that much. But, Pice, when you saw the team, I assume you were, like most people, happy that Mudryk played over Chilwell. But in hindsight, you're like, well, still not great, though, is it?
What's that? Sorry, bro.
The whole lineup, just like, in hindsight, what's your reaction to it? Obviously, at the time, okay, Chilwell instead of Mudryk instead of Chilwell is good. But you keep playing Cole at left back, and it's just so pointless. There's never anything going forward. Every team we've played against us tries to attack down Colwell's side. It's just not working.
Nah, I mean, fucking Colwell left back doesn't work. He can't go forwards, and he's not the quickest as well. But then you get Chilwell come on at left back, who was absolutely horrendous. One of the worst cameos I've ever seen. By the way, off the bench, it was horrendous. And obviously Cucurella won't play, and he doesn't play Martin left back. So, I mean, the solution is literally to play Chilwell, who's not been good. But I mean, the lineup in itself, I was excited for the team, to be honest with you. I think. Mudryk playing, Sterling, it's a decent wing pairing. I think I wouldn't have really changed anything, to be honest. Gallagher's always going to play with his form this season, so I wouldn't have really changed much. But when I saw it in game and I was seeing Enzo as a 10, and I was seeing, just in general, like Gusto, like I think Gusto was like going forward so much, and then like Colwell obviously had to stay back, and I just think there wasn't like a great balance to our team, especially in midfield. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think Ugo Chukwu played well, but I don't think there was a great balance in our team, and we looked flat. They looked confused as well, like who to play to. It looked like really sometimes it was just a team that didn't really were used to each other, and that's strange because
I mean that's what we are though. Like,
yeah, in some senses, yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It's a mess, isn't it? I'll get your thoughts on it in a second, Joe. I forgot about the super chip at L9. He says Jackson over Vlahovic. They said donkey up front. See, Jackson over Vlahovic because I have principles. Not everybody agrees with it. Pice wanted Vlahovic. I don't. That has nothing to do with footballing ability, though. Like, I also don't think he's that great as a footballer. He's a good finisher, but outside of that, meh. But me not wanting Vlahovic has other reasons, and I will stick by those. And he could score 7,000 goals in the next 2 days, and I still wouldn't want him. But at the end of the day, what we have should still be beating Bournemouth, should still be beating Forest, and it's not. And that's where the problem comes in, I think, more so than, we should have bought other players. See, this is the mess. This is how Chelsea fans react when things don't go well. We've just spent £1 billion. They're like, we should have bought different players. No, it doesn't matter who we sign. People saying, João Felix is balling out for Barcelona. Yeah. And if he'd play for us, he'd be awful. If Mudryk was at Barcelona, he'd probably also be balling out. If Jackson be at Barcelona, he'd probably also be balling out. But for us, no one's fucking balling out. Because the situation that we create as a football club does not allow players to thrive. It does not. And maybe it will down the line, but right now it sure doesn't. Look at the fans losing their shit, because rightly so. But why? Because the manager's telling us we want to win and we can't win. Because we're shit. Because we have a completely new team, a completely new staff. We have 12 injuries. And we're just a mess. We're a mess that's cursed from top to bottom. It's not like, should have signed a different player and then it would have been fine. No, it wouldn't have. We just would have spent more money on a different player that also wouldn't have worked. Like, how many more times are we going to try? It doesn't work that way. And the few youngsters that we produced ourselves who that wouldn't apply to as much, we sold fucking all of them. And half the family's like, yeah, great idea. Because you're fucking morons. You're like, oh, you see a couple of compilations on YouTube. You're like, yeah, he's great. Let's buy him. He's going to solve everything. Well, look at it. Do they know? Do you know what I mean? It's the same shit every time. It's the same shit for years and years and years to Chelsea Football Club. And people say, oh, we won the Champions League in 2021. Yeah, we did. But it was a one campaign that stood out while everything else around it was still bad. It was what Tuchel and that team did for those 7 games in the knockouts was unbelievable. Is it 9 games? No, 7 games. Was unbelievable. But that doesn't mean things were great. No, they weren't. The last league win is 2017, and the only reason we won that league title is because we weren't in Europe that season. Otherwise, the last time we had any major success, because Europa League don't count, is 2012. And that was the very end of Jose's league title. And that was a one-off. After that, we finished 10th. Before that, we were nowhere. Like, it's a mess. And people just pretend like buying new players is going to fix it. No, it fucking won't. Oh, my days. But the problem is, nothing fixes it from here to tomorrow. Nothing will. Sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there. Joe. Team thoughts, not necessarily at the time, but in hindsight, can you?
The one thing the one thing I did, the Colwill, I thought if he was going to change, I thought Ben Chilwell would have started there. I don't know if that is down to trying to keep Silver in the team. I don't know if it's you don't want to play Mudryk and Ben Chilwell together because maybe it leaves us a bit weaker on that left hand side defensively. But for me, the Colwill thing, it's not giving you anything going forward that it can take a bit of that pressure off of, say, Mudryk, because everything on that left side attackingly is coming through Mudryk. He ain't got an overlap of a Chilwell to take to draw a defender away from him. So I don't really understand what his end game is there. I don't know what it is. It's not working, and I think Maatsen should really be our starting left back at the moment. I think what he done in the Championship, he's obviously had a good preseason. Okay, not playing in that position, but Ben Chilwell, it's hard because this is our vice captain we're talking about. Let's not get away from that fact that he is the vice captain of this football club at the moment, and we're on here now questioning about him even being in the team. That's another one for me. I don't understand why he was that over, say, Thiago Silva or a big main player like Enzo Fernandez, who's going to be in the team for many, many years. He's the vice captain. He's terrible form. I put his cameo today up there almost as bad as Kovacic's one. I can't remember who it was against, but it was just after the World Cup where pretty much every time he passed the ball, it got intercepted. It was bad today by Ben Chilwell. And that position for me, I don't know. But Colwill, he doesn't give us enough going forward. Do you drop him after bumping the con?
Give it a second. I've just seen this quote from Pochettino here because I agree with you. But then when I read this, I just lose my mind again. Pochettino said, one thing I'm disappointed with is that the fullbacks try to go forward too much and create confusion to the attackers and give the opponent a chance to get chances. So Pochettino's takeaway from this game was that the fullbacks went forward too much. Oh my God. I don't want to
didn't really get it if our own out, did he? I don't remember him going forward once, apart from the set piece there.
I thought needed to be forward more. Like we were hitting on the break. Sterling was inside. Augusto was not making a run. I was screaming at my TV. Augusto needs to push. What are we going to do when we have Reece James back? Poch is going to put him in goal, for fuck's sake. What do you mean the fullbacks go forward too much? Nah, I've had enough.
That's a weird one, that is.
I want to get rid of Poch more right now than I ever wanted to get rid of Potter. What is this? What do you mean the fullbacks go forward too much? Have you ever watched Pep Guardiola play football, man? Get in the bin, stupid Spurs twat.
That's a bit of an one because, as I was saying, going forward, we weren't getting anything from, say, that left-hand side. So, Gusto, but that's the sort, Reece James does that. So, like you said, what's he going to do when he comes in and when he tries to get forward? Okay, the quality coming in is, even though Gusto has been good for us, Reece James is our best player. So the quality coming in, but he does that. So is then Poch going to punish him and say, no, sit back? I don't understand what he's trying to achieve because surely that's why he's playing this. This sort of interchanging 3 at the back to 4 and whatnot to try and get them up a little bit more. That's what he's known for, isn't it? That he makes, he has an attacking fullbacks. So that's a bit of a weird quote, in all fairness. But yeah, I think, I've always been an advocate for players in their natural positions. I think, if you spend your whole life playing a certain way, it becomes, muscle memory. And you've got to and then to switch that up and go against that, you're kind of fighting your natural instinct. So for me, Colwell as a centre back, he should be playing there. I don't know. It's an odd one. Jackson. One thing I do want to say as well, what I do worry about is when Brozier's back, because obviously he's had a big injury, and it is so evidently clear, that we need a option coming off the bench as a striker. That could we overload him, and then we're in the same position again where we've now got a player being injured due to that sort of thing. Because at the moment we need a backup striker. Whether he's going to come in and take that, in the first place position off of Nicolas Jackson, it's creating a lot of pressure in many ways that there's going to be a lot of thing on him that, those sort of injuries, we've seen it before with players we've had that were bright, promising players. They've had these injuries and they don't come back as they were. He's coming back in, he's going to be chucked straight into the thick of it because we need a backup striker. And I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that there could be a chance of him relapsing based on the fact that, Chelsea need him more than ever at the moment. And I do worry about that with Brozier.
Yeah, I worry about that too. There's another quote from... Actually, Pice, before I bring up that next quote, do you want to react to this quote from Poch as well? Because I'm sure it baffles you as much as it baffles me.
Yeah, I don't understand what he's on about. He's literally the coach. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, you sort it out yourself. Why are you telling the media? Like, it's like, I didn't want them to do this. Well, then get up and sort it out and change it. Like, I don't understand it. Like, what? I don't know. I'm confused, bro. I'm so confused.
Yeah, and then there's another quote where he says, we lack luck with 12 players injured. We have 3 to 4 young guys, 2 keepers on our bench. Am I going to cry? No, Bournemouth are a good team. Well,
no, they're fucking not. Bournemouth are shit. Bournemouth are absolutely
straight to the point.
First of all, that, and like, fair enough, Poch, if you don't cry, I will. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is this? It's a mess. How about you try not making players injured? That'd be a start. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's lucky he has those injured players, I tell you, because he's got something to fall back on. If he didn't have that and we were playing like this, there would be absolutely more of an uproar than there is at the moment. He's got that and he's kind of lucky. Because I think that's what Potter had as well. People don't seem to remember. Like, he had injuries as well that he could fall back on, and Poch has that same situation. But I think now with no Champions League football, I think that a lot of people will say, we should be playing better. You got more time to coach this team. And if we're still playing like this, say, when that is happening, people's going to be asking big questions of Poch. But for me, I wouldn't turn yet, but it is worrying.
Yeah, no, it is worrying. And obviously, when I just shouting around 2 minutes ago, I don't actually think we should sack Poch right now because we're 5 games in and that would be a stupid thing to do. But that doesn't take away from me being a fan and me being emotionally attached to us being half decent. And the problem is, as bad as it is right now, it's even worse because of what we experienced last season. Like, it's just continuing to be bad. Like, it's not only one bad season, it's another bad season. It's not like the one before that was great either. So like, we've just been in such a rut. Like, when was the last time Chelsea won 3 games in a row? Like, it feels like that was 3 years ago, honestly. Like, it's a joke. I mean, Yannick with the super chat here saying, question, what's Reece James going to do when he comes back? Answer, get injured. Not sure why you're talking about Reece James right now, to be honest, perfectly, mate. But yeah, I mean, he probably will. You're probably not wrong. But I'm not really sure how that's helping anybody. But yeah, appreciate the donation regardless, mate. Let's get into these player ratings. And let's do things a bit differently because, Sanchez was our best player. So let's do front to back and start with Nicolas Jackson. Pice, I'll let you go first. Other than his shot in the 20th minute, did he do anything right?
No, not really. He wasn't really a threat. I always like his intent. Like, I think his all-round game is good, but yeah, he didn't really do much today. Yeah, I have some issues with like his runs across the box as well. Like, I still don't think he's like got that natural striker's instinct like all the other top strikers do. Yeah, I'll go over 5. I'll go over 5. I think he was below average. I don't think he did enough to impose himself on the game today. I think I don't know whether he was tired as well because he played at Nationals, but he looked quite bad at pressing. Like, I think he looked.
Did he play the second game for Senegal? Because I know he wasn't even in the squad.
He did. He did play it. He looked sluggish to me. Like, for me, he presses much better from the front than what we saw today.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that one shot that he had, that he literally put behind him instead of where the goal was, that literally summed it up. I think you've gone very high there, to be honest, mate. I was going to give him a 3.
Fair enough.
I don't think he did anything well. I mean, how bad he's at heading is, by the way, really concerning. Really, really concerning to me. Especially as we are a team that plays a lot of low blocks and often and always, when that happens, reverts to crossing. Even if we have a completely new squad, we still always revert to crossing. And then if your only striker that's fit isn't good in the air, well, that's a serious issue. Joe, Pice gave him a 5. I said 3. Where would you go for Nicolas Jackson?
I'm probably going to go with Pice in all fairness. I don't think he'd done anything good, but I really wouldn't say he done. You're going to judge him off point shot, then you say. But I don't think he'd done anything where you're thinking that is like an open goal. Your shit, get off the pitch. You know what I mean? So for me, I think 5. If that's the scoring system, I would go. It's like a nothing game. He's not terrible. Didn't do anything. So for me, I think 5 sits.
Actually, I'm going to give
I'm
going to give him a 4. I just remembered that one moment where was it Gallagher who played? The pass was bad, but that sequence after, I was like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, are you a striker or are you a right back? Like, what's going on?" Looked so confused. Like, just lacked so much.
The header was bad as well. Actually, thinking about it. Kind of just hit him in the face. He was just there running. A natural striker anticipates things like that. So
that's what I mean.
Yeah, 4 5. I'm happy with.
Yeah, fair enough. It leaves us at a 4 overall anyway. And I guess we move on. Let's do Raheem Sterling first. Sterling was a weird one today because on the one hand, obviously, it was really frustrating because he missed some big chances in terms of especially the early one where Gallagher set him up. And I don't know if he was trying to cross and just thought someone would be at the far post for a tap-in, or if it was a really bad shot. I'm still not 100% sure. I think it was a shot, but I can't be 100% sure. But obviously he had that free kick, which is a great free kick, and just really unlucky not to score. I think he tried the most to go past people. He tried the most to create things. He completed 3 dribbles. But the final thing was still never there. By the way, just quickly on Jackson, for him, especially what we're used to from him, to only win 2 out of 9 ground duels, really poor. Sterling, on the other hand, he won 7 out of 13. That's all right. I'm going to give Sterling a 5. I still don't think he did quite enough to get a 6, but I'm going to give Sterling a 5 because he was the best of the bunch. I mean, Mudryk is was kind of good at different things because Sterling had the finishing actions and trying something that way, while Mudryk had the setting up actions and then someone messed it up after him. So kind of a bit difficult to balance it out, but I still felt Sterling was a bit more dangerous. It was just really frustrating. He didn't do anything once he was on the left side second half. Maybe other people saw some, but I didn't really notice him even on the left-hand side. And I found that, first of all, weird and a bit frustrating as well. Joe, for Sterling, would you go along with a 5? Do you think he maybe deserves an even 6?
I would put him higher than 5. Based off the fact that I was pretty much saying Jackson was a 4 or a 5. I think Sterling, especially first half when he's on the right hand side, it seemed everything that we were doing was coming through him, or at least that right hand side. So, 7's a good, a good score. I think that might be too high, so I'm probably going to go with a 6. It could have been a 7 if he would have carried on that performance when he switched to the left hand side. But when he did switch, like you said, there was pretty much nothing coming there. So for me, I'm going to go for a 6. He was unlucky with the free kick. He is taking people on. He is looking sharp. But going off topic a little bit is more to the fact that, when you've got these young players, he's the experienced guy. You need him to stand up and grab a game by the scruff of the neck, which he isn't doing. He didn't do today, and he didn't really do against Forest. So for me, I think 6 is a fair enough score.
Fair enough. Leaving us at a 5.5 for now. Pice, what would you give Sterling if you gave Jackson a 5? Oh, sorry, you changed it to a 4, sorry.
Is this Sterling, yeah? I'm going with a 4.5. I think he was pretty shit, personally. I think he was all right in the first half, but second half, I don't think he was great. He obviously got really unlucky with a free kick, but I think as the game went on, he just started... I didn't like his body language. He almost seemed to start to sulk, especially at the end, sort of 80 minutes onwards. He wasn't really giving and driving, with the ball. He seemed to just give up, and I don't like that from players, so I'm going with a 4.5.
Fair enough. Leaves us at a 5 overall. Ricky, by the way, shout out, have a safe drive home. We go to the other side, then we go to Mikhailo Mudryk. It's another difficult one. Obviously, he kind of overall did less than Sterling. But he had 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, ground duels, 6 out of 11, pretty much the same as Sterling was. Had a couple of tackles. Obviously got himself booked really sillily. Shouldn't get booked like that. At the same time, I'm like, at least someone's like fighting and trying. Do you know what I mean? Not just letting people run past them like the rest of the midfield constantly did. Maybe I'm being too nice, but I'm giving him the same 5 as I gave Sterling, which is probably harsh on Sterling. I get it because Sterling got so close to scoring with that free kick. But I still don't feel like I should give Mudryk less than a 5 because we looked worse when he was off. And that I know that's not really to do with Mudryk directly, but I still feel like you see how important a player was when they're taken off and your team is worse than they were before. He could have had 2 assists, should have had 1 assist for sure. So yeah, I'm going to say 5. And I want to touch on what Pi said much earlier in the stream when he was talking about Mudryk in terms of he wasn't great. Absolutely not. But what needs to happen now is he needs to start again the next week. We cannot do now back on the bench and then doesn't play the next 3 games again. And then he randomly starts one again. No, what you need to do is play him. And then he will eventually be okay. He will be. Because you can see that he can do things. You can see the turns. You can see the runs. You can see the one pass he played to Jackson was a great ball, a great line breaking ball that no one plays in our team, in my opinion, other than Enzo, obviously, but in terms of that position. But he's clearly not there in terms of the confidence, the touches. When he tries a bit too hard, like getting booked there, he needs to just keep playing. And I will stand by this. And if people say, oh, they need time and, he needs to, they need to gel and everything else, what Mudryk needs to do, he needs to play every game. That's what he needs to do. And if he starts 10 in a row and he's still dreadful, then you can drop him. But for now, he needs to just start. And it's harsh on Mudryk because he's currently injured. And obviously, you're not really taking Sterling out. But while Mudryk just keeps getting injured, what's the point anyway? But yeah, so I've probably gone a tad high, but I will go with that 5. Now, Price, I assume you're going to go a little bit lower because you gave Sterling a 4.5. But what would you give Mudryk? And I see some people in the chat are very unhappy with me saying that, especially because I gave Jackson a 3. But to me, it's like, especially from what Jackson has provided already this season, he did none of that today. So that's why I went quite low in that rating. But yeah, Pice, on Mudryk, what would you give him?
Oh, it's really interesting, this one, because I think he had sloppy touches, but I think he was by far our most dangerous player. Like, every time he got on the ball, I felt like something was going to happen, and I didn't feel like that with the rest of our attackers, to be fair. So, yeah, I'll probably give him... I'll give him a 5 and 5.5, I think. Yeah, okay. just because I think it would have been like an average game, but some sloppy touches. I do expect a lot from him. Like, I do expect him to impose himself on the game like he did. So I'll go over 5.5. But I like what I see, and I agree with you. I think you have to let him build on this and let him go through those, bad touches. And, sometimes overhit passes across the box or whatever, decision making. But I think he was probably our second best player today, I would say. So third best probably, actually. So yeah, it's not saying much, but I think he was one of the bright sparks that you think, okay, maybe next week, he might win us a penalty. He might, create a clear chance or something like that again, because I think he did look threatening at times. And there was not just a couple of times, there was quite a few times. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Kuzi Mudryk is injured again, brilliantly. Joe, a 5 and a 5.5 for Mudryk then. Do you agree? Even I feel like in my heart of hearts, I feel like Sterling and Mudryk could also both have gotten a 4 from me, not a 5. I could absolutely go with that too, because of how frustrating I find.
Yeah, for me,
let me just say that one last thing. Sorry. The only thing for me is, if anyone looked like doing anything for us today, it was either Mudryk or Sterling. No one else. That's why I've given them, in a way, high ratings. Obviously, it's still below average, but that's why I've given them that. And maybe that's just because of the positions they play, sure. But no one else did nothing. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's why I've gone for my rating. But what would you give Mudryk, Joe?
I'm maybe 4.5, maybe a 5. The thing is, I agree with you both that there was definitely, bright sparks there. I was really worried that second half. I think he was trying hard. I really did think there was going to be a point in time where he could have got that second yellow. He was mistouching. He was trying hard, and he kind of got taken out of the game. And I think that, I for me, yes, there was bright sparks. There was bright sparks. I won't say that like the 2 assists potentially, but I think towards the back end of the first half, and especially at the start of the second half, I think it was going down. I don't want to label a strop sort of thing, but you could see that he could turn into one of those players where, when it weren't going his way, there was like a bit of a sulk there. I don't know if it was just me personally that saw that, but I think that he did lose his head in that, in that second half, and I think that I like to think anyway that Poch did see that. What's that?
Did you think it's a sulk, or do you think it's just being frustrated at himself?
It's probably a little bit of that, to be fair, mate. It's probably like, like being frustrated, and it shows that he cares and he wants to try. But I think they picked up on that. And I think that they did, especially I think they're right back. I think they did start to realise that you could get to him, and they were reading him when he likes to do that little thing where he knocks it past and like uses his body and runs off. I remember one of the times just before he come off, he'd done that, and the right back completely picked it. And I thought, at that point, I thought your head's going here. And then, like I said, I did tweet it. I thought he was very primed to get that, that second yellow card. And I think Poch, I'd like to think after his comments about, the fullbacks, actually did read that right and think, I have to take off, and they did. So for me, I'm probably going to go with 4.5. I think Sterling did have a better game, in my opinion. I think that, especially if you're going to judge the parts, Sterling till he switched to the left and Mudryk till he come off, I think Sterling did have the better game of the two. And, I think 4.5. I got big.
Include Sterling when he moved over to the left, though?
No, I'm saying if you go to those points of that game, the points of those games.
No, I agree. Until then, I agree that Sterling was better, but then Sterling was bad after. So then that's why I gave him the statement in the end, right?
Yeah, no, I got to see what you're saying on that, but I just thought that at that time, most of the things, especially first half, that was going to happen was going to come through, was pretty much coming through Sterling. And I think that for me, he was the better of the attackers we had. Yeah. And, if you're going to rate them as they are, I got to stick with him being there. And I think Mudryk wasn't as, I think there was glimpses. He's showing us what's there, and what is there is pedigree, and it is very good. The turn of pace, all that is good. But I've got high expectations for this kid. I think he's going to be a sensational player for Chelsea. And I think that, we should expect better from him in terms of, being that guy. And I know there's going to be a teething process there. But for me, I don't know. I don't want to make excuses for him, because I think he could be one that would maybe buy off of that, if you know what I'm saying. I think, he's one of those ones you take over, you take under your arm and you say, you know what, you're better than this. And I think that, that's where we're going to go. But for me, he wasn't as good as Sterling.
No, fair play. Overall, that leaves us at a 5, and leaves them both on a 5, with for Mudryk now a 4.5, a 5, and a 5.5. Let's get to Enzo Fernandez, and I'm going to bring up a tweet. I doubt he's here anymore, but I'm going to bring up a tweet from your expert who talks about the issues for Enzo today. And his tweet says, I think the biggest criticism you can make of Poch right now is that in a game against a team who are well organized defensively, Enzo Fernandez has been anonymous. He's the exact player who could unlock a game like this, and due to the role he's been given as a makeshift number 10, he's barely made a line-breaking pass. And Enzo has been used like this in nearly every game of the season so far. He then gives a bit of explanation, though. He says, I don't think his role is without reason. In the press, Alex believes Enzo works as one of the leaders of it because of the way it allows Gallagher to press from deeper areas. Enzo lacks the physicality that Gallagher has, so you'd rather Gallagher be closing down players quickly in traps. Enzo instead is used to cut off passing lanes. In possession, he thinks the idea is that you get the ball to Enzo deep into midfield. He has the ability to make a quick vertical pass that unleashes Sterling or Jackson. This worked well against Liverpool, for example. However, today, he's just been marked out of the space between the lines. 7 players made more passes than him today, and if Poch wants quality over quantity, that hasn't worked either. And I'm going to go back to the lineup screen now, but that's essentially what I feel for the most part too. Yes, I understand why, because Enzo is more safe on the ball. Gallagher has more legs in terms of to press from that deeper role, and I know injuries are the reason for why this is the case, and Enzo wouldn't be playing here without the injuries. But I still think Poch should be finding a way to not have to play Enzo here just because of injuries. Like, start Palmer then. I know some people in the chat are now beefing Palmer, but he's come off the bench twice, and people are already, he's not good enough. Like, you people are so stupid. It's actually unbelievable. Sorry to go at you guys like that, but sorry. When you say, oh, Gallagher's Palmer plays like a kid, he's not good enough. He's played twice off the bench, mate. Calm down. But Enzo, it just, there's reasons why he's struggling. But like Alex put it, he was anonymous. And Enzo Fernandez is the best player we have at this football club, other than maybe Reece James, but he's never fit. So Enzo Fernandez is the best player we have at this football club. And for him to be anonymous, yes, in the grand scheme of things, he wasn't worse than others, but because of how good he is and what I expect from him, I'm going to be quite harsh on the rating compared to what maybe some others are going to say. I'm going to say, I can't really decide between a 3 and a 4, so I'm going to say 3.5. Yeah, his pass completion is good, 96%, sure. Yeah, 5 out of 5 long balls is good, yeah. But did he play one decisive pass? If someone has one in memory that I don't, fair enough, please tell me. I'm happy to be proven wrong. But I can't remember a single actually decisive pass in any way. And especially when you're not only an attacking 8, but kind of a 10, and you don't play a single decisive pass, and you weren't dangerous in shooting yourself, then what was the point? Like, he didn't offer anything. So maybe I'm even going to give him a 3. And yes, it's not all on him. It's also partly where Poch put him. But I still don't think it was good enough, honestly. And it was poor. So I'm going to say that he was poor, essentially. Joe, I'll let you go first. I assume you're going to agree that he was anonymous, but how would you then put that down in terms of rating? And
it's quite difficult because of the fact that I want to try staying a bit consistent with what I say, and like what I said about Mudryk, I expect more from Enzo Fernandez, but I'm probably going to go 4 points, probably the same as Mudryk, but they only down to the fact that I think it's hard for a player like that to not. I think what makes Enzo Fernandez so good is the way he's able to dictate the play and how he can control a match. And I think if you're playing him as a 10, you're taking away that extra second of thinking, where I can think, I can pass it here, I can pass it there. You're kind of isolating him a little bit, and I think that that number 10 position isn't helping him. But down to the same thing I said with Mudryk as well, is that I expect a bit more. Especially like you said, he is with Reece James out the picture. He is our best player. So, especially again, you'd like him to grab it by the scruff of the neck and drag us to 3 points. So I'm going to go with probably the same as I gave Mudryk, but I think it was a 4.5. Just because of the fact that you expect better. But it's the same thing with Jackson as well. I don't really think he's done anything wrong.
But like Mudryk had those 2 setups for Gallagher. At least the second one, Gallagher has to score. So there was something that Mudryk did that was like, should have got us a goal. Enzo did none of that. So I feel it's almost a bit harsh on Mudryk and a bit nice on Enzo if you give them the same rating. But obviously, you do what you want to do. I'm just trying to have the conversation.
Yeah, no, as I said, I just think then to the fact that, I don't think Enzo, had a peak and then dropped off, if you know what I mean. I think he was consistently, but it was kind of consistently anonymous in many ways. I know what they're saying in that, but I don't know. Yeah, you got a point there. But I wouldn't say he had a bad game as Mudryk. I wouldn't say he's played worse than Mudryk today. I personally wouldn't say that. I don't think he stood out and was like, So for me, I think I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to give them both the same rating. I don't think he had a worse game than Mudryk, but he did have a better game than Mudryk. I think, Mudryk started high, but then petered off. Enzo just stayed around the same. So for me, I'm going to keep it as it is.
Okay, I hear that. Pice, you and me, we're both huge fans of Enzo. I know you are too. What did you make of him today? You're more my side of this? You're more on Joe's side of this? Maybe somewhere in the middle? Where do you stand on it? Because I'm not trying. I know I gave him a 3. I'm not saying he was awful, because he had 96% pass completion. He never gave the ball away and stuff. Like, he wasn't awful in that word, but he just kept it so simple at every time that he was never going to really help us fix the problem we needed fixed today. And that's the part, in a way, that I thought he was bad, if that makes sense. Because I'm like, yeah, okay, you had 96% pass completion, but you didn't try a single really difficult pass. So, and I need you to, because you are the creative player, especially in how he was used today. So I'm not sure where you stand on it, Pice.
Well, I give Mudryk a 5.5. I'd say Mudryk was definitely more impactful, just based on the chances created alone. But yeah, I don't like this position from Enzo as well. Like, I think that needs to be taken into account. I think if you play him a bit deeper, I think he does a lot more and gets a lot more touches on the ball. Plays, has opportunities to play deeper passes out wide, and then maybe go over the top a little bit as well. Jackson was surrounded by like 2-3 defenders always as well. So that's another thing. I don't really think he made a lot of runs, Jackson, today. So, in terms of Enzo playing a difficult pass, I'm not sure if there's those options for him around him.
But then
to
shout
play
at your teammates
passes.
to make runs. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we don't know that, bro. Though we're on the
we
pitch,
don't.
so we
But
know.
it's like you need to do something. Like you're
Well,
Enzo
we
Fernandez
may
fan.
not have
If
thought
you
it.
need to
He may
do
have
something, you
been-
can't just. And I get your argument for the position, but when I say Enzo, when I give him a 3, I'm not saying Enzo is now a bad player. But in terms of what he was asked to do today, he didn't do well in it. We get to Potter's rating later, right? That doesn't mean that he didn't play in a position where he shouldn't be playing. I agree with you. But I still have to judge Enzo by what he did in the job he was given. I can't say, okay, Enzo gets a higher rating because he didn't play in the position he should have played.
Did you do anything horrendous though? Because 3 is
No, he
really
didn't.
low.
I get that point completely, but
So it could be like a 6 then if he didn't do anything horrendous. So I'm gonna go with 5 anyway.
No, I disagree with that.
But he did. But you. What did he do bad then? I don't understand. He didn't do anything
Not
great. He
try
didn't do anything bad.
Not try anything to break Bournemouth down. Mudryk and Sterling at least tried to break Bournemouth down and get us chances. Enzo didn't.
That's what I'm saying though. Were there the options though for him to do that?
If Mudryk and Sterling found the options, why shouldn't Enzo?
Yeah, but they're direct players, bro. They make things by
Mudryk
themselves.
found them by passing. Sterling's different, but Mudryk found passes. Mudryk, that one pass around the corner he played to Jackson, that pass opened that chance that led from it. Enzo didn't play a single pass like that. Again, I'm not trying to have an argument here. I'm just trying to say, if you're the creative player in the team and you do not create, I can't just say you didn't do anything bad, therefore you get 6. Because your job is to create and you did not create, therefore that's bad. In my logic. But fair enough. You obviously can do it how you want.
Yeah, that's why I give him a 5, because Enzo getting a 5 is really low.
It's okay.
For me, 3 or 2 or whatever, like you have to have some really bad defensive moments. You have to have some really bad touches.
Oh, he was the number 10. What do you mean defensive moments?
But we still have to track back, bro. And he was actually kind of like a left-sided 8 as well at times.
Yeah,
like it was definitely a lot of times where he was that. So he wasn't like playing behind the striker, was he? He was out on the left-hand side. He wasn't playing behind the striker. Like, like
ground duels, he had 3 out of 9. That's 33%. He committed 2 fouls. He had 0 tackles. Like, you can't tell me he was defensively any good either. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like, we were hit on the break so much. If you're going to include him in the midfield as well, like, but it's okay. Overall, that leaves us at a 4. So I'm more like trying to have a conversation about it, and I understand that I'm maybe a tad harsh. Initially it was like between a 3 and a 4, right? Yeah, it's more. It mostly comes from my expectation of him. I'm very aware of that. Let's get to Conor Gallagher though. Pice, why don't I let you speak first before anybody else? What about Gallagher? Because he missed big chances, but he also set up that good chance for Sterling in terms of the rating that he got on like FOTMob. Good, 93% pass accuracy, 1 out of 2 successful dribbles, 1 out of 1 long balls. Ground duels was also really poor. But I still don't think he was good. I personally thought Gallagher was better than Enzo, though, even though he missed a big chance. So therefore, in my head, they're probably about the same. But I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think I don't know, because the thing is, playing like where he did, it was weird because even though Enzo was technically playing further forward, I felt like, I mean, this is actually a theme. We just play down the right-hand side all the time anyway. So yeah, I felt like he was way more involved, and maybe that's why he did look better. But he did miss the big chance. I felt like at times as well he was like sluggish. Like I didn't think he was very urgent on the ball. There's a lot of times in midfield where he had like loads of open space and he just took so long to drive into that space, and it just really annoyed me. The pass as well to Jackson, like again, why not just shoot? Same as Palmer and the one at the end, why not just shoot? Like I just don't get it.
Gallagher had over 20 more passes than
he
Enzo
was.
Today. Obviously, Enzo was taken off, but that was only 10 minutes to go. So
I'll go 5.5. I don't think he was amazing though. Like, yeah, probably below average just because those couple of moments, the one where he missed, the pass out wide, I think he should have shot, and then just lack of urgency. Really, I think he did okay defensively. Like, I don't know what the stats are saying, but I felt like he tracked back well. But yeah, just took like I don't know, like the urgency. Like, so just our players looked flat today in moments. Like sometimes they would make like these really good individual runs, and then other times, like they were just, it was almost like they saw the space and they were like, actually, I'll just pass it to the side. Like it was really weird. I don't know why. It was just like, we're going to score eventually. No, we got loads of time. Don't worry about it. Like, and there's another game gone because we have this attitude of just like taking spells in matches. In my opinion, we don't like just go for it every time we get that opportunity.
Yeah,
and he has no excuse as well because he didn't even play for England. He only came on for like 5 minutes. So
yeah, there you go. 5.5. I let Joe go first before I have anything to say. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to change ratings, if you're like really angry with us, and obviously I can't see every chat message that you guys put in there. If you want to change the ratings, do use the super chat function, and we will do that with sense, please. But yeah, still, Joe, a 5.5 from Pice. Would you guys hire that for Gallagher too? Like right now, obviously Pice gave Mudryk a 5.5 too, but right now that will be the highest rating on the pitch, which is, I'm not sure I agree with that, but do you agree?
Yeah, for me, I don't think he was like. I still think Sterling was probably the most attacking. I think best going forward into that switch. So I don't know if I'm kind of cancelling that out. Maybe you guys may think I am. Like, I do think before that switch, I think he was Sterling. So I think I gave Sterling a 6. If I'm correct, I think he was better than Enzo today. I think he was better than Mudryk. So I'd probably go 5.5. I think that is the territory. I don't think he was the best player on the pitch. I don't think he was the worst player of the pitch. And I think started the game, he should have, done something a little bit better with the chance he had. But yeah, I think again, I can't think of anything terrible to give him a low rating. So for me, yeah, I'm going to go with a 5. For I think he was better than Mudryk and Enzo today. And if I gave them 4.5, so I think he should be getting a 5.
Fair enough. I think what I'm gathering is I'm just giving everyone lower ratings than you guys are. Other than Sterling, who I think Pice gave a lower rating than I did. Because I would give Gallagher a 4. I just don't think he was good. But not that he was necessarily worse than others, but I just think as a whole team, we were just absolutely awful today. I know we missed big chances and we should have scored those chances, and if we did, I would be talking very differently. But fact of the matter is we didn't. Gallagher was one that missed 1 or 2 of those very big chances, especially that Zagamoni had. Must be a goal. And for me, not being able, like the fact that we beat Bournemouth with Lampard last season and we can't now, I almost want to give everyone a 1. Like purely for that reason, even if there's no logic behind it. But yeah, overall that leaves us at a 4.8, so a 5 overall for Gallagher. Fair enough. Seems a bit high to me personally, but hey, you guys went for it, so here we are. That's how democracy works. Let's get to Leslie Ugochukwu. His first start in the Premier League. Obviously, he's made his full debut against Wimbledon in the Carabao Cup, but his first start today, and I don't know what I think. I'll be perfectly honest. First of all, I must be honest. First of all, shout out Ferrari, shout out Carlos Sainz. In the first half, I was also paying attention to the F1. It was very difficult to pay attention to both. But I didn't notice Ugochukwu do anything bad, honestly. I didn't really
I think he was quite good.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't really notice him do anything outrageously special. But obviously, with the way the game is, how much am I expecting the deep 6 who's just supposed to give the ball to Gallagher and Enzo? What am I really expecting from him? Because when you look at the stats, 85% pass completion, it's pretty good. Successful dribbles, he had 1 out of 1. Successful long balls, he had 3 out of 3. The ground duels is bad, 1 out of 5. That's even worse than the other 2. My days. Aerials, at least 2 out of 2. That's good. I'm gonna give him a 6. I'm not gonna give him anything higher than that, but I'm gonna give him a 6. Joe, what would you give Ugochukwu? Do you think he deserves higher than?
I'm gonna go 5 points. Yeah, I think.
Oh, you would have gone even lower than 6. Maybe I've been too.
If that's your average, I'm not kind of. If that's your average, then it's hard because I would have probably. Yeah, I don't think he's again.
But if you want to put 5.5 as average, that's also fine.
I think 5.5. Because I still, at the moment, where we got at the moment, I still think Sterling for me was the standout to that point. I'm going to stick with that. I think he was better than Gallagher. I think he was better than Enzo. And to be fair, maybe if you would say he had an Enzo performance where he ghosted in that sort of position, like was a bit anonymous. That's what you kind of want from a 6. You want someone that's just going to be there, tidy up, get the ball away, move on. So, I think he done that well. I think, he could be a good player for us. I'm going to go for 5.5. That is only because, as I said, Sterling, maybe I could have gone a bit higher, which would have freed him up, but I don't want to put him higher than Sterling, but he's better than the other ones at the moment. So, yeah, 5.5 I'm going to go for.
Fair
Oh,
dues,
5.
fair
Yeah,
dues.
5.5.
That's all right. That's all right. So, Pice, a 6 and a 5.5. Whereabouts would you go for Leslie Ugochukwu?
You could definitely say, like, just based on first Premier League start alone, you could definitely say 6.5. But
Yeah.
I'm going to give him a 6. I think he did really well. He played lone 6. You know, we did play a 4-3-3. I was a little bit worried about like how he would adapt, but I tell you one thing: this kid is good on the ball. He's really good on the ball, and it's definitely tough at times to play lone 6. You know, it definitely is. Especially how much Gallagher was going forward and how sort of Enzo's position, you know, meant that he didn't really have a lot of cover behind him. And I think he did decent. I really did. I'll give him a 6 just because, you know, we didn't win, and he didn't, you know, like have an assist or like some crazy dual stats or, you know, like a goal saving tackle or something like that. But I think he did well. I think he did well. He was one of the only positives from this game, in my opinion. I was surprised he did, or I was surprised as he was as comfortable as he looked, is what I would say. But then again, he did play like 20 plus game for Rennes, who are a really good French league side. So maybe I'm sort of underestimating, you know, his ability a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely a nice surprise to see him start today because like before, you know, when we signed him, it was like, oh, just another signing for the loan team. But
Sure.
now it looks like he can actually do a job for us, and that's good. And he also gives us a bit of height in that midfield, which we just
I
don't
was
have
just gonna say,
otherwise.
yeah.
Where
Yeah.
does he fit in with Lavia? That's one thing I was thinking about today. Obviously, we brought in Caicedo. That was one.
He
You
doesn't.
know what I mean? Like, I see it and I
doesn't,
think,
but Lavia
does
is
it make it
injured, so
redundant? You know, does it make it a bit redundant in many
I
ways?
don't know
I
because
mean,
I think,
95% of our signings are redundant.
but I think the thing is though,
TJ, you got me on that one.
because he is the only like tall and physical, you know, like beast we have in midfield. I feel like even Pochettino, I feel like Pochettino will still use him off the bench. Like I don't think he's just going to get frozen out because he's a bit of a different sort of midfielder
Yeah.
to what we've got. You know what I mean? Like,
It's true.
yeah, different. He's someone you could bring on. You know, like so. Yeah, I think
Like
it was still
Mikel
I
back
mean,
in
hey,
the day, innit?
at this point, I'm expecting Poch to, even when everybody's back fit, to play Enzo as a 10 and play a double pivot of Lavia and Caicedo, because apparently we love to be Spurs and park the bus, but we still also play tiki-taka. That's the annoying thing to me for Poch, because he picks teams and sets up as if we're counter-attacking, but actually we have all the ball and we play the worst tiki-taka football I've ever seen. Like that, because it's so weird. Like someone said it earlier in the chat, at least if we played counter-attack football, yeah, counter-attack football is bad. But if we at least sat back, soaked up pressure and hit on a break, we'd score a lot more goals than we do the way we are playing. So you never know with Poch. And then if Lavia and Caicedo start regularly, then Ugochukwu will get plenty of game time in that sense. But yeah, there you go. Leaves him at a 6 overall, and we get to our back 4. Let's get to Malo Gusto. I was for a minute absolutely terrified that he would now also be injured, and that would have been awful. But was he good? No. I mean, his crosses really weren't great today. I don't think he was awful as such. And obviously, if the manager in hindsight says that the fullbacks were too attacking, then I can't be critical of Gusto saying he, in my opinion, didn't get forward enough, because that then clearly got a manager instruction that I can't be mad at the player for. Ground duels was all right. 6 out of 11. It's pretty decent. I'm going to give him a 5. I don't think he was worse than that, but I don't think he was better than that either. Pice,
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, in all fairness, mate, I agree with that.
You go first, Joe. Might as well. Go on.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I think again, like a lot, especially first half, coming through the right hand side, I thought he was decent. I agree with that. I think 5's a good, relatively good score. I was terrified when he went down. I thought, we can't lose you. Who's there? I'm there starting to think, do you switch? Try playing someone else that's a left footer over on the right. Thankfully, it was only just nothing. But we need to make sure we keep him fit if Reece James ain't going to be playing, because I don't know what comes next. It's quite scary to think what could be the other option.
Absolutely. And defensively, other than that one moment when Solanke got the ball at the far post where Gusto wasn't there, I don't know where he was, but other than when he wasn't there, he was really good defensively. And that's, as much as going forward, he still has some improvement to do. Let's also not forget he already has 2 assists this season. No one else in our squad has 2 assists. So, people say, oh, he's awful going forward. Well, still better than all the other players, seemingly, because he has 2 assists and no one else does. But I think defensively, he's surprising all of us. I mean, we were told before we signed him, his strengths were going forward, his weaknesses were defensively. And so far, defensively, he does really well. So, yeah, I like that. Was bleeding for us. Yeah, there you go. But, Pies, do you agree with the 5? Would you go for something different? What did you make of Gusto? I know you said in our group chat that his crossing was bad, but outside of the crossing, what did you make of him?
I thought he was good outside the crossing, to be fair. I think he was good defensively. I think he was, again, one of our only real attacking threats. It's a shame his crossing was so bad, but you could see the effort was there. I think he recovered the ball quite a lot of times as well. I think he was good. But the crossing did let him down. There's one with his left foot where I was like, just why? It's just really confusing as well, because like, what I knew about Gusto was like crossing was one of his best attributes, and actually defensively was one of his weaker areas. And since he's joined us, it's flipped. It's been defensively, he's been good, and his crossing has been bad. So I don't really understand it, to be fair. But I would go 5.5 for me. I don't think he was much below average, but the crossing did let him down. Fair
dues. Overall, that, of course, still leaves us at a 5. And we go to Levi Colwill on the other side, our unfortunate makeshift left back. He might have to get the worst rating today because he didn't play a single useful forward pass that I noticed anyway. He was completely incapable of staying onside. Like, how he started running before Sterling even hit the ball. Are you a moron? Have you learned the offside rule, mate? Like, sorry. That can't happen. And it's a problem now that every opponent focuses on that side to attack us. Now, obviously, sometimes it's just the opponents happen to be better on the right. We don't only attack on the right because our opponents are bad on the left. We just attack on the right because that's what we do. So that might apply to some opponents as well. But I don't think it's all of them. And I think because Colwill never attacks, that's why their winger never has to track back. That's why they can always attack more on that side. And when it comes to pace, Colwill struggles with that a little bit. And not because he's slow. For a centre-back, he's still decently quick. But for a full-back, when you're up against fast wingers, of course a centre-back is going to struggle. Any centre-back in the world would struggle at that when he's played as an actual full-back. But he got past a bit too easily. Long balls, 2 out of 7. It's not great, that. Some of them were into absolute no man's land. Ground duels, 1 out of 3. Aerial duels, 0 out of 1. Committed 2 fouls as well. Yeah, I don't want to be too harsh and go like a 2, but I'm going to give him a 3. I don't think it was good, honestly. I don't think it was good. Do I have let me get a dribble past stat up, see if I can find that one. In the meantime, Joe, I'll let you go first. What did you make of Levi Colwill?
I think in terms of what you said about being probably the worst rated one, I probably would agree with that. I'm struggling to think what my worst one so far was. I think it was Jackson, weren't it? I gave him a 4, weren't it?
I think so,
yeah. I think I'll probably... It's going to have to be pretty much the same. I'll say 3.5. I'd probably say he does look like he needs to be moved out of that position. I think that he's given us nothing going forward, and I think that is hindering our left winger, because there's no overlaps, there's no other option there. There's no defenders know you mark our left wing. There's nothing else there, and I think it's isolating them and it's having a knock-on effect. Whether it's Ben Chua, as I said, I think he had a terrible cameo today. Or you bite the bullet and you give Maatsen that run at left wing. You need to do that because you need to be giving someone the defender other options. And if I just stand by Mudryk, if I just stand by Sterling, I know there's no overlaps. I know there's nothing else coming forward. So it's more down to where I think he's being played. But yeah, I think he was the worst to be rated today. So I'm going to go 3.5.
Fair enough. He also lost possession 20 times. According to SofaScore, he was never dribbled past. That doesn't seem right to me. But yeah, 20 times seems to have given the ball away the most. Wait, I haven't checked Jackson. Yes, no, Colwill did give the ball away more than anybody. Yeah, 3 and 3.5 Pies. What did you make of Colwill? I'm not trying to go in on Colwill. I'm going in on Poch for playing our best centre back currently at left back. I just can't understand why this is happening and keeps happening.
Sorry, I caught up a little bit. You was just talking. Yeah, Colwill, my rating, it's going to be really low. I mean, 3, 4, 2. I mean, I don't really know what to go for, but I would just stick with the 3. I think, I cut him a little bit of slack, though, because, like, why is he playing here? I don't understand it. Like, it's kind of stupid. Again, just seem to get these managers that like playing people in positions that they don't they shouldn't be playing in. Like, the only thing I was excited about today was like the clip balls down the line to Mudryk, but there really wasn't the space for that. Like, you know, if it was at Wembley, it might have been a little bit different. But he just looks uncomfortable. Like, even, you know, 1v1 defending out wide looks uncomfortable. I mean, I don't like. It's nowhere he's actually started before, so I don't understand. Like, it's not like Disasi, who has played right back for Monaco. Like, Colwell has not played left back, I'm pretty sure. So I don't understand. I haven't understood it so far either when we've been doing the other bloody system before today. So yeah, he was poor though. Facing up defensively. How many times did he get dribbled past?
Apparently 0 times, which I'm a bit confused by.
I mean, I felt like he got twisted quite a few times.
Yeah,
Maybe
same.
not like maybe not like directly ran past, but like, I don't know. Like, they definitely targeted that area, and why shouldn't they?
I swear there was one time where he tried to like stretch out his leg to like do a tackle, and the guy just walked past him.
Yeah,
like, how's that not dribble pass?
I don't know, but yeah, I'll go over 3, but like maybe an asterisk on like the position. Like, what are you doing, Poch? Like, it's kind of crazy.
No, I agree. I agree. Pice, I'll stick with you. Axel Disasi, what did you make of him? Other than that one really bad tackle where for a second I thought he's given away a penalty, but thankfully it was only a free kick. Other than that, I didn't really notice him do much bad. So I don't really know what range to give him, but what about you, Pice?
He's going to get a 5.5 because of that stupid tackle he made at the end. But other than that, I thought he was pretty good. But he's like that though. Like, he's got these moments in him where he just does something stupid, and it's like, again, like I didn't agree with you at the start, but I agree with you now. I think, you know, we should have just saved that money and just kept Chalobah. I don't understand. Like,
he's not like, I'm not, and you seem.
I know Chalobah's here, but I meant like kept him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're not saying that Disasi is necessarily bad. But is he better than Chalobah?
Like, what's he shown to be better? Better? Like, what is he better at? Like, I don't understand that.
Exactly. And people will say, oh, he gives us height and he's good in the air. He had 0 aerial duels today. Not that he didn't win any, but he just didn't have any, according to SofaScore. Which I'm like, how are you a centre back and don't have a single aerial duel? How does that even happen? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I just think he's like a steady Eddie player. Like,
yeah. And he's not the kind of player.
He can't be that, actually, because he makes stupid mistakes and decisions. So I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know. Exactly. He isn't fast. That is true, Asti.
No, he's not fast. He's very unagile. It's probably not a word.
Especially him now playing with Thiago Silva as a combination. They're not very fast as a centre back pairing, are they? Ah, my days.
I'm going to go with a 5. I think. Yeah, it probably would have been a little bit higher if it weren't for that free kick that he gave away. I think he's a good passer. I think, you know, that's one thing. I think he has got a decent pass in him. I think I've seen a few things of that. Maybe that's something. I don't know if you've seen it, but I think he does seem to have a decent pass on him. He's obviously a unit.
Faster than he looks, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you know, again with Chalobah being there, again a redundant signing? You don't know really, because, you know, we seem to forget as well. You've got Wesley Fofana still at this club. You know, he's going to come back. You got Colwell, who just gave a new contract. Obviously, Silva will go eventually. Obviously, you know, with his age in that, you know, and it's like we're going to have a clusterfuck there at one point where there's going to be players that are going to be unhappy. You know, Badia Shaw is very due to be coming back very soon, isn't he? So, yeah. You know, we're going to have a time where there's going to be a lot of them there that we've paid money for. We paid 40 million quid for him, if I'm correct. So obviously,
that's
you pay 40
why
for
playing one of them at left back, just to when they're all fit to actually fit them in.
Yeah, that could possibly be the reason, because I can't see anything other than that at the moment, which I think is a terrible idea, as I've said before. But you know, I think it's a weird one. It is a weird one. There's going to be some unhappy players there. When everyone's fit, there's going to be some unhappy players. So I'm going to give him a 4. What was I said? A 4.5. I don't think he was as good as Gusto. He would have been higher if he would have made that, but that could have cost us, you know, the game. And can you imagine a reaction if we would have lost today? Let alone we drew today, which was bad enough. But we would have lost. You know, Poch would have been facing his first, at the moment, mini crisis in many ways, because people would be like, "This ain't on. This ain't on. This is Chelsea," and he keeps banging on about that as well.
Yeah,
that's one thing I will say.
That. He's already
that's one
facing.
thing I would say about Poch. He keeps banging on about that. About this is Chelsea. This is we win, we win, we win. So then you got to expect the
Mate, you've
the
won one
uproar
game.
when we don't win. I think that's one thing I will say on the thing. I think 4.5 would have been the same as Gusto, but the mistake.
Yeah, there you go. And I will go with that as well. I know Pice's logic in terms of did he do anything wrong other than the foul? Not precisely, but was he worse than Gusto? Absolutely, in my opinion. So I would also say 4.5, which still overall gives us a 4.8, so a 5. Because like the passing out from the back for both Disasi and Silva is just way too slow, and it starts with them two. You could argue it even starts with the goalkeeper, but in particular with them two. And I criticize Silva for it. Disasi isn't exempt from this criticism, and I'm not willing to give Disasi a higher rating.
I just seen this comment as well by Vic. Yes, I did want to sell Chalobah, but if the replacement was going to be not an upgrade, then maybe in reality we shouldn't have sold. I shouldn't have wanted to sell Chalobah. So it's not that I'm, like you're confused. Like it's that this Disasi has proven so far to be not much better. So there's your explanation.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
If I knew, like for me, our recruitment in overall, like in terms of the individual player, like as a collective, of course we're shit, but the individual player, I think it's been trustworthy. But Disasi is one of the ones where I'm like, I have red flags on him because I thought he would be an upgrade to Chalobah, but I don't think he is at the moment. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you've made your point. But fair enough. We moved to Thiago Silva then. Nearly cost us a goal when he waited too long to pass. Otherwise, didn't really notice him. Got a couple of good interceptions, I guess. 95% pass accuracy, sure. Accurate long balls, 8 out of 9 is actually very good. No ground duels, 1. Only had 1 though. 1 aerial duel, 1 out of 1. He didn't... Maybe I'm going to be just because I felt he was better than... sometimes it's also like how I feel you're doing and not necessarily of like, are you great? I think I might also give Thiago Silva a 5. I gave Disasi a 5.5, but obviously a lot of 5s here today. We were already on bloody... That will be our 6th 5 rating. That'd be crazy. But yeah, I will say a 5 for Thiago Silva. Pice, what would you give him? Pice? Silva? Oh, did you say something? Pice, can you hear me now? You're muted. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I would agree with you. I think I'm going to go 5.5 the same because I think today, like, how everyone always says like, oh, it takes too long on the ball. Like, I don't really see it most of the time, but today I was like, holy shit, you're taking way too long on the ball. So that really annoyed me. Like it's just so slow progression wise. That was really the only thing I noticed that was bad from him. But it was so consistent throughout the game that it really did help. It really did hurt our build up quite a bit.
Yeah. No, I agree. And some people wanted to say you want to go like 3.5, 0, 1. Apparently, this seems Silva should be benched too. Now you can still have your point in terms of that he's too slow playing out from the back, but that doesn't mean he's a 1 or a 2. Like, it can still apply that he's too slow playing out from the back, though. So a 5.5 from Pice, a 5 from me. Joe, what would you give Thiago?
I'm going to stick with what I gave Disasi because I don't think he was as good as, say, Gusto. I'm going to go 4.5 again. I am now starting to have games where I'm starting to think that, could it be the time where we maybe not... I'm not saying you drop Thiago Silva completely and that's it, go on your merry way. But when you've got Levi Colwill, who we've given this new contract to, we've got all that going on, and he's meant to be the future at our centre back. Does Thiago Silva, if we put Colwill where Silva's playing, do we lose as much as say if we would have done say 2 seasons ago? So for me, it is hard with Silva at the moment because there is times where the lack of pace and the slowing it down, it does affect the team. But on the flip side as well, there's also those moments where he still does those clearances off the line, or he does an amazing interception. So it's hard. It is hard. When is the right time to say that is it? So I don't think it is now, but I think that maybe him interchanging with Badia Shaw coming in where maybe he plays a game, he misses a game, sort of thing. That could be something they look at the moment. I don't know, but I think he does slow that play down a lot today. I felt there was times where we needed to speed it up a lot, and I think he definitely And that could be the same with Zazie as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to stick with giving them both the same. I think they both had pretty much the same equal game. But I don't know with Silva. There is going to be a time where it's going to cost us, and it could cost us big. And you know, with Badia Shire coming back, I think he was very good when we signed him from Monaco. And if he comes anywhere near like that, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a back two of, let's say, Badia Shire and Zazie. I would only thing stopping me from saying Badia Shire and Cole is the fact they're both left-sided, both left-footed. But I know they're professionals; they should both play the. But I think there's going to be some questions asked there. Like I said, following from what I said with Zazie. What's that? Sorry, mate, I missed that one.
The two that are playing right now, Silva and Zazie, they're both right-footed. So
yeah, see, that's the counter to that. But I don't know. I think there's going to be some questions about Thiago Silva soon. I think, but again, I don't think he had a terrible game, and he still has that magic moment, and he does conduct us. Do you notice that he does seem to, he tries to get everything going in that, but I think what he was doing today was just a bit slow, and I think it had a knock-on effect. So for me, 4.5.
Fair dues. Overall, leaving us at a 5, and we go to clearly our best player on the day, Robert Sanchez. Fair play to him. I've been not critical of him as such, but critical of the signing of him. And today, he showed that he is a good goalkeeper. Made 2 absolutely brilliant saves, and one early in the first half against, I think both might have been against Solanke, actually. Both really good saves. Saved us the game. Had a couple of good high claims as well. Came out of his goal for an over-the-top ball from Bournemouth once really well to stop them before they could ever be one-on-one with the keeper, essentially. So maybe people will say that's high, but I was actually pretty impressed today, and I will give him an 8 because he is the only reason we kept a clean sheet today. Because the defenders weren't that great. I mean, the midfield wasn't that great either. They ran through us like absolute no man's business. And Sanchez stopped them on multiple occasions. So fair play to him. I'm very happy with that. Pice, I know you need to head off in a second, so I'll let you go. Before Joe, thoughts on Sanchez? Would you go as high as an 8, or have I overdone it?
Yeah, I really got to go after this, bro. Sorry, but
yeah, no, it's all good.
Yeah, no, Sanchez. I mean, fuck it, you could give him like a, like a 1,000 for not getting, for not letting us lose. But no, I would go with like, 8's good because I think he made 2 really big saves. So and also like, I know we didn't score from it obviously, but there was a pass he made, literally a brilliant line breaking pass across the ground to Ugochukwu, and I think, I don't know, I feel like we had a chance from it, but anyway, yeah, he started that attack, and I feel like his passing was really good as well, so he definitely deserves that. And but yeah, not good to say when your goalkeeper's your best player and you don't win, unfortunately.
Especially away at Bournemouth. It's not like we played City. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Pice, I know you need to head off. It's your brother's birthday, so happy birthday to your brother. We appreciate your time, mate. And we'll chat to you soon. Have a good one, mate.
See you later, guys.
See you later, mate.
Myself and Joe will finish this one off with Sanchez, the subs, and then, of course, Pochettino. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button if you haven't done so just yet. And Joe, 8 for Sanchez, fair for you as well?
Yeah, I agree with that.
A little lower, what would you say?
No, I'd go with an 8. I think, and one thing I will say as well is I feel he needed that performance. So I didn't get to see the Wimbledon. I didn't watch it, so I've always had this thing, if I can't watch the game, it didn't happen. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And obviously gave away the penalty, and then against Forest as well, there was slight murmurings of why we bought him and whatnot. And I think today he did show that. I think he had a very good game. Again, distribution was good, big saves, coming out of corners, and he looked. I always like my goalkeeper to look strong and be determined in that, and he done that today. So hopefully it's a turning point. We see a lot more of it, and you can see why we did sign him. And in my opinion, I know you have yours about Kepa. I think there was a definite step up in terms of what we got today from him into what we got with Kepa. I think there's a few of those chances we probably would have conceded with Kepa in goal, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Enough with Sanchez. Let's get to the subs then. We made only 3 of the 5 possible ones today. The first one being Cole Palmer coming on for Mikhailo Mudryk. And then we made a double substitution of Ian Martin replacing Enzo Fernandez, make of that what you will, and Levi Colwill coming on, Ben Chilwell replacing Levi Colwill. We'll start with Cole Palmer, I guess. Thoughts? Did he do enough to get a rating, or would you give him an A? Joe?
You can't come in and say that he's at the best of cameos. I'd probably say a non-rated, like you just said, at NA. Mainly down to the fact that he obviously had his chances, but like I said earlier in the video, if he'd have been in a City shirt when he had that chance, I think he probably would have scored. I think you could definitely see there was times there was a bit of confusion there as well. Like, what am I meant to do here? But there is a talent there, and I seem to be saying this about all our players. There's a talent there. But for me, I think
actually, I'm going to force you on a rating because he played over half an hour, so I feel like we have to give him a rating.
Yeah. Okay. This is going to be difficult now, isn't it? Because it's hard now because I got to. Let's say just a bog standard average 4 actually, because he should have shot. I think he should have. He should have got that chance the first time round. So I'm going to go 4. It'll be harsh for him because, like I said before, I think there's something there.
Yeah. I think I might go 4.5 purely because he was still a sub. So I'm kind of giving him that extra little benefit of the doubt, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I do agree. That he should have either shot, and even if he doesn't shoot, do better on when he gets the ball again. And there was a few other occasions where I'm like, okay, you're on now, you can shoot, hits it. And he didn't. And I'm like, he's not just here to shoot from distance, but I feel like when he comes on in a game like this, he's not going to be the kind of threat that Mudryk is. So he needs to provide something different. So shoot, because that is your strength. Use it. Do you know what I mean?
He's got a cracking left foot, hasn't he? So he should be using it, really, shouldn't he?
Exactly. As for Ian Martin and Ben Chilwell, though, honestly, I think them two do deserve an NA, and they can get an NA.
Yeah, I think Chilwell's cameo was, as I said, I can't remember the game it was. Someone in the chat can say it. There was a time after the World Cup where Kovacic played. I mean, it literally every pass he made, he got intercepted. And after that game, I actually come on my video and I said, listen, I don't want Kovacic to play for Chelsea. If that's what we're going to do, and his head's clearly gone, I don't want him on the pitch. Play I can't remember what I said, Chukwuemeka, I think I said, and does that still apply for Chua? Because he's our vice captain. That's the thing that's really getting me now, is that's our vice captain.
He did hit that cross to Jackson, though, that header.
Yeah, that is that. But there was, some of them, like,
but that was it.
There was a few times where it was frustrating, and it was like literally every time we got the ball, I think it was in like after the 90th minute, he had 2 chances of trying to start something, and he just passed it to the Bournemouth player, and it was just frustrating. And like I said, vice captain. I understand that Poch wants him to be that, but from Reece James when he comes back, I want a high standard. But you're going to get it. With Ben Chilwell, who's the vice captain, you expect a high standard pretty much all the time. And that wasn't great.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I agree. Let's not even waffle about these two too much. They were the decisive factors here today. Let's finish it off with a rating for Pochettino. I don't know. Because on the one hand, I was a bit happy that he did give Mudryk the start over Chilwell. I do think it also made us better because it gave us a bit of attacking threat down the left-hand side, which we didn't have against Forest in the slightest. I don't fully agree with taking him off, but then again, he had obviously a few minor injury struggles over the last few weeks, so maybe 60 minutes was the maximum we could do. We don't know that. But we should.
I think it was that yellow card with Mudryk, mate. I really do. I think it was that.
Too, but you got to think he played against England, got subbed off. He didn't play Ukraine's second game. There has to be reasons for that. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And obviously had a small injury before that, which made him miss a couple of games. So it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't want to overload him with too many minutes. But obviously the yellow card will have played a role as well. But then again, Sterling got booked too, and he didn't get subbed off. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, sure.
It's one of those. But yeah, Pochettino for me. Like, I understand that we had a lack of options on the bench today. We had 2 goalies on the bench. David Washington was on the bench. Some guy who I've honestly never even heard of was on the bench. What was his name? Matos.
I don't. To be fair, the only one I saw was that Washington. That was the only one that kind of rang a bell.
Exactly. And David Matos, not David Matos. Matos doesn't even have a player profile on Football. That tells you all you need to know. And also Ronnie Stutter, some 18-year-old who I've never heard of. So I understand their options weren't really there. So maybe I can't be too critical with the exact subs, but I still feel like you should have brought Palmer on for Gallagher, let Enzo drop a bit deeper, and then Enzo would have been able to be a bit more decisive. I still think that would have been the move to make rather than what he did. And then in hindsight,
said in my preview, I said I would have started Palmer in all fairness in that kind of 8-2-2 role. That's what I would have done. I'm probably going to say 4 or 5, just because of the fact it weren't, he picked the team kind of apart from Colwell that I wanted and Palmer, which I kind of said in there as well that I didn't see that happening. But for me, the comments after the game about the fullbacks is completely out of left field for me, and I'm going to give him a 3 basically based on that, because he got to lose a point for that, because I don't know what game he was watching. Levi Colwell very hardly progressed into the attacking half, so I don't know where he can pull that from. That's a weird one for me.
Yeah, no, exactly. I find it weird too. I would have probably... It's so difficult because obviously I want to sit here and complain about Poch, and those comments that we touched on earlier, like you say, those play a role as well for sure. But at the same time, I'm like, well, half the squad arrived 2 days ago from international break, so it's not like they could have prepared for the game much. It's not like oh, we had 2 weeks off, we should be better. Well, he didn't see 90% of the team, 98% of the team. We have 12 injuries, which, as much as you can say no excuses, we are Chelsea. Of course, 9 like Ugochukwu was started. Mudryk was started. That was not supposed to be happening. Gallagher is still starting as double pivot 5 games into the season. He still started every game this season. Gallagher was captain today. Now, of course, Thiago or Enzo should or could have been captain, but still, besides the point, the bench had 2 players I haven't even heard of. No, I have heard of Matos, but not really. And Stata I've never heard of. Good Christ, we've seen him a couple of times preseason. We had 2 goalies on the bench. Like, as much as we can complain, there's still some of it. That's why I'm not going lower. But he needs to be better. He needs to do more. He needs to and he needs to not tell me the fullbacks got forward too much. Like, how are you planning to attack then? Because, I mean, I assume that means he's just trying to attack with the 2 8s rather than the fullbacks, which I understand, because even Ugochukwu got forward at times. But then if you don't currently have those players, while Malagusto is a really good attacking fullback, does that make sense? Does it make sense to do that instead of having Chilwell at left back and be attacking? And then just letting Enzo and Ugochukwu be a bit deeper and having your defensive cover in that sense? I think that would make more sense, me personally. But
I think you're taking a lot away from Ben Chilwell if you tell him not to attack. You put him in that left back position and you say don't attack. I don't think he's amazing defensively, so I don't understand, so obviously if you're telling your fullbacks not to go forward, and you're not handicapping them.
Why Colwell is playing there, right? Because if he doesn't want the fullbacks to attack anyway, then putting Colwell there, I suppose.
That's not what he's known for, though, is it, Poch? That's the thing that's confusing me, because that was one of his things. He plays attacking, right backs like Trippier, and I can't remember who he had. Was it Danny Rose? I think he had those ones, and you think to yourself like they were attacking, and that's what Poch builds upon, and that's what I was expecting. I thought when he said that's how he plays. Reece James, Ben Chilwell attacking back. You don't get better than attack going forward from your fullbacks. So I don't know why he's now saying that's a bad thing. I don't
understand. I don't understand either, mate. But the therapy session did work to some extent, because I'm a little bit less depressed than I was at the beginning. But now
it's good to get it out sometimes, isn't it? That's why I come back to YouTube, because I just sit there stewing about it. And my wife's like, "You can cheer up as a game of football." I'm like, "You need to leave the room if you don't understand." It's good to get back and talk about it.
Exactly. You need to get it off your chest, and you do feel better after. I hope some of you watching also feel a bit better after. But
it needs to get better, don't it?
The very and concerning thing for me is that I just don't see when it gets better. That's my worry.
What's patience? I've been saying it quite a lot, but what does we got? It takes time. You got to be patient with it. But what does that actually mean? Like, does that mean whole season we finish 12th again? And not say nothing about it?
But 14th,
you can't do that.
It's a joke. We didn't score the last 2 games now. Like, it's a joke. It's absolutely a joke. Like,
hopefully it gets better, mate. And I hope I come on here for a victory. So I don't think I've been on here after a victory. So this is the first one I've done for a game. Yeah. I've done reviews in that. We've done transfers together. We haven't done a game one. So the first one is in a victory. So hopefully next time I come on here, it will be a victory we could talk about, and we could be happy.
Exactly. Now, to be fair, it was difficult to catch a victory this season, because we've only had one. Well, one that counts, because like you said, Wimbledon game we couldn't see. I watched it back, but Yeah, I watched it back, but I tried to, especially with Sanchez, it didn't happen. I didn't see it. And they didn't have a good replay of the Sanchez moment anyway, whether we watched it back or not. So
yeah, I did.
Problem in and of itself. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's about time we wrap this one up. At the end of the day, I mean, Champions League starts this week. We're not involved. Arguably better. We just get battered if we were there. So
maybe we're at the moment. Actually, Potter done all
maybe
right in the
that's what
Champions League at times, mine. Potter done all right, didn't he? Until we went out to Real Madrid.
It's true.
So we might have had a
great
decent
time.
run.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, Potter didn't lose in his first 10 games, and he took over mid-season. Potter, the whole pre-season, has won.
But he's
one
changed
win
it completely to what we've done pre-season. I don't understand why he's done it. You can't play a certain way all pre-season and say, nah. I thought for the Liverpool game, I thought it was smart. I thought tactical masterclass. You know, Poch is doing well. You know, and then we play it against another team, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then we're playing it against Forest at home and Bournemouth, and I think just like we should be attacking these teams. You know, we're Chelsea. We spent £1 billion. Although there was a stat today on Sky Sports about us, I think we got 300 million injured. But let's not also forget one of those players is Caicedo, which is 115 of that money. So it's, you know, I don't know.
Kunku is also one of that. So
yeah, and Lavia, which is 50. So you know, it wasn't
300 million. I feel like that might not have included Caicedo yet.
We got. I heard him say on Sky Sports. They definitely said 300 million injured today.
No,
so
that's true, but they might not have included Caicedo's injury, if that makes sense. Because obviously he was only confirmed to be injured just before the game today, right?
Hopefully then. Maybe it doesn't sound as bad, you know. I don't know.
Otherwise, because think about it, Lavia is 60 million and Kunku is 60 million.
Yeah.
So even that is already 120. So if you add Caicedo onto that, you're already at nearly 300. So like,
yeah, maybe they didn't add. Is it a confirmed injury yet? It could be just, you know.
It's a knock. He picked up a knock.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right.
Apparently, he should be back for the weekend, but let's see. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please do subscribe to Joe's channel. Link is down in the description. Joe Neil Secca, of course, the OG of YouTube. Please do check him out, as well as, of course, Pice's website, londonsfirst.com, and his Twitter. Do check them out. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so just yet. Hit the like button on your way out. Just one click of a button that doesn't cost you any money or any time, and it really helps me out. Spread these streams out to more people. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea. As always, upwards and onwards.
It'll get better. I promise.
Hopefully. But bro, I said that a year ago, and now I'm still sat here.
I gotta try staying positive, man, because otherwise you just cry, wouldn't you?
I feel like a year ago we lost like 3-0 to Leeds, and now look at us. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know, man. It's crazy. Anyway, thanks for having me on, mate. I appreciate it. As I said, hopefully be a bit more in the future.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and we'll see you next time.